to mind and body right now, okay? And the focus today will be hypertension, right? We'll talk about something that's affecting a lot of younger people right now and how we can move forward from it and just find a balance in terms of doing what is right and of course getting people to be better aware as to how they can work around hypertension. And I have a guest with me this morning. We have Feintola Onagorua. That's a tongue twister for me. That last name was a tongue twister for me, but I love it. And she is a sales expert, a wellness entrepreneur, a continental marketing network marketing coach. Oh, that's a lot of titles for you. I love it. How are you doing this morning?
Very fine, thank you.
Great to have you in the studio with us.
I'm glad to be here.
So let's talk a bit before we get into the topic of today, right, which is hypertension. Let's get into a bit of what you do as a wellness coach. How have you been able to help people in terms of become better versions of themselves?
Okay, thank you very much. I love to talk about what prompted me to come into wellness.
Totally.
When I was 16, my mom was 52. She died.
Ooh.
She had diabetes. When I was 13, I had to nurse her in the hospital. And eventually, she developed one of the complications of diabetes, and that is hypertension.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we did not know. So by the time we were seeing her left leg swelling, it was already like a heart attack.
Oh.
So we took her back to the hospital. I was there with her again for the next 1 week, and then she passed on. I was 16, she was 52.
How are you able to walk around all of that as a young adult? I mean, you were 16, and losing a parent at that age is never easy for anyone. How are you able to, get through maybe therapy and not have it hold you back from who you are right now?
Honestly, there was nothing like therapy at that time. I'm talking of 1984.
That's a long time.
Because I'm 54 now.
Ooh, nice.
But that had a big impact on my life. And so I trained as a nurse. I'm a registered nurse, and I did midwifery also. I served in the military as a medical personnel for 7 years. So in 1993, I realized that I would love to help people because I noticed that some things caused these diseases. So if we can adjust our lifestyle, I mean, these are simple self-discipline habits we can imbibe on a daily basis, we can actually prevent these lifestyle-induced diseases.
Now, let's talk about hypertension. Let's get right into what hypertension is, okay? And we see when the word comes up, people assume it's an old people disease, right? But then we see a lot of young people these days who are going through the same issue, and they have to be put on medication for a very long time.
Yeah.
So let's have you get into helping us understand what hypertension is. I mean, it's probably called high BP, high blood pressure. Yes. So let's get into a bit of nitty gritty as to what hypertension is.
Hypertension is the increase of arterial blood pressure in the body. The correct blood pressure reading is like what we call 120/80.
Okay.
The top one is called the systolic blood pressure. The bottom one is called the diastolic blood pressure.
Okay.
Now, what happens is, as a young person, we normally should have about 110/70 mmHg. That's how it is measured.
Okay.
In the olden days, we have this sphygmomanometer. That's the machine. Today, you have it kind of computerized. You have it in portable forms.
It's really mobile, so you can walk around.
It's supposed to be, but honestly, I love the old one. You get the more accurate reading with the old one. So I always advise people to go back to the hospital. It's better to don't just say I have it at home and then you check in. You will notice that if you use that mobile one 3 times, you get 3 different readings.
Yes.
So, but if you use the older one, you get the more accurate reading.
But the thing with going to the hospital in Nigeria is having to wait in the queue, right? Usually in the mornings, it's intense. A lot of people who are waiting to get checked and all of that. So you spend so much time
on the
trying to get checked, and that's the reason why, as opposed to going to the hospital, people just walk into a pharmacy.
In the pharmacies now, you can check your blood pressure, but it's ideal for you to also have a record keeping method by yourself.
Okay.
Have a way. If you go in once a week, just put down your dates and your numbers. There's a challenge we had a while ago. We say know your numbers. Your blood pressure is one of the numbers you must be conversant with.
Okay.
Not out of anxiety, but just to be on the safer side.
So to be able to monitor what is going on.
Because it's a silent killer. A lot of people have it without any signs and symptoms at all.
Let's get into the signs and symptoms right now, because I hear there are no signs, like you mentioned, right? So how do you know that you have you're hypertensive? How do you have an idea
The easiest
about that?
way is the diagnosis. If it's just once a while, sometimes it can be stress induced. Maybe you just go through a bad time, it can go up. So usually doctors will not diagnose hypertension for you just because of one reading. It has to be over a period of time. And then they will ask you a lot of questions, because what is causing it at that particular time. So if it's like you're going through a grief, once the grief is over and there's therapy, it's possible that it will come down. So what they usually will do is to monitor. So they don't just give you antihypertensive drugs. So if you can adjust your lifestyle, because actually it's a lifestyle induced disease. Secondly, because of the genetic makeup of blacks, we are more predisposed to high blood pressure. So especially if one or both of our parents had it before, we are most likely to have. Our genetic makeup works against us, and then our lifestyle works against us. So we look at it from those three angles.
Now let's get back to something you mentioned earlier, and that is keeping like a record of all your check-ins, the numbers that you have. How often should you check your blood pressure?
Maybe once a month. Maybe once a month.
So once every other month.
Yeah. These days, like you said earlier, it used to be older people over 50. These days we have teenagers with high blood pressure.
And
it's quite alarming. It's lifestyle. What we eat, most of the times people don't do exercises. We don't have enough rest. Most young people don't sleep at all. In the night they don't sleep. They will probably sleep thinking they are making up for it in the morning. They are permanently awake at night. The body is not constructed like that. A 24-hour day can be divided into 3 windows. From 4 a.m. till about 12 noon is in the morning time. You should be eliminating the waste from yesterday. From that 12 noon till 8 p.m. in the evening, you eat like twice a day, and then you're good. You don't eat heavily or cooked food after 6 p.m. In the evening by 9, we should be on the bed, because the sleep-inducing hormone comes by 9:30. If it comes, you sleep off naturally. But when you are now looking for sleep past 10, you'll have to force it to come.
So the thing with you mentioning younger people right now that keeps them awake at night, it's possible that some of them have remote jobs they're doing, they have assignments, they have like other things they're doing to prepare for the next day, and they feel if they were to go to bed at say midnight, right, 6 a.m. they're up, 6 hours of sleep is good enough.
The timing is wrong.
There's also the pressure. Before I let you get to timing, there's also the pressure that it's a lazy person in quote that falls asleep. So I mean, they would work all night, maybe sleep for an hour or two, and in their head or in their minds, it means you are working hard enough. You're a hard worker because you don't sleep overnight. So how many hours is good enough in a bid to arrest this issue of not sleeping, and then as younger people having to battle with high blood pressure? How many hours is good enough for you to say you've gotten enough sleep?
It's not just the number of hours, it's the time.
Let's get to the time.
Yeah. So you notice that if you're actually listening to 10 o'clock news, you're already feeling sleepy.
Well, not me, but yes.
Yeah, that's the way the
body works. Oh, okay.
By 9:30, the sleep-inducing hormone is produced by the brain. So if that hormone comes and you're already lying down on the bed, you will sleep off naturally. 6 hours is good, but let it be between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. That's your 6 hours. You'll notice that if you go to bed at 12 midnight or 1 a.m., even if you sleep till 10 a.m. the following morning, your body feels weak and tired. And you'll be asking yourself, but I had a good night's sleep. But man, that timing is wrong.
Okay, so if you go to bed at 10 a.m., you wake up at
10 p.m.
At 10 p.m.
Wake up at 4 a.m.
Wake up at 4, that's good.
It's good. Your brain works best between 4 a.m. and 7 a.m.
And that timeline is for you to maybe prep your day. So from 4 a.m. to 6, you're prepping
you do your
day.
affirmations, you do your meditation, your brain is active. Everything you want to do physically, you must finish it mentally early in the morning. That's one of the principles for wealth generation.
Okay, in case you have any questions you want to ask right now regarding hypertension, you can send me a WhatsApp or text message on 09097054450. That is the WhatsApp and text line. You can also call in if you want to ask any questions as well via the phone lines 09087668888 and 09073530044. We're talking to Feitola Onagorua. And she's a look at me getting an A with her name today. She's a sales expert and a wellness coach and wellness entrepreneur, rather. And is there a difference between entrepreneur?
I'm a wellness coach and a wellness entrepreneur. I have built a business around wellness.
What you're doing, and you're a registered nurse as well. So that's
I'm a registered nurse and midwife, but I'm a certified wellness coach.
Got a lot going for you. All right, so let us know what questions you have regarding hypertension, and how we will be able to answer that. She's right here. She's going to give you like free answers to all of the questions you might have. How frequently you should get tested, and all of that put together. So ensure that you send those questions right now. You can also join in via the WhatsApp and text line, and also on social media at Eagles FM Abuja. 7:22 a.m. right here on your radio experience. You can count to talking about hypertension on Mind and Body. Today we've got a wellness entrepreneur right here, and she's gone on to mention various things that result to hypertension, even in young people these days. The fact that we are all focused on working in quotes really hard and not getting as much rest as we need, and of course how many hours we need to sleep for and the right time for us to sleep. So what you've got on to mention is the fact that 9 p.m., 10 p.m., that's a good time. That's a good sleep time.
Yep.
And of course 4 a.m. is a good time to wake up, meditate, plan your day, and just keep it moving. But for those who are unable, maybe due to work, being stuck in traffic, their schedule, they're up until say midnight or maybe 1 a.m., are they susceptible to hypertension?
Yes, they are. They are. The way the body is constructed. Now, in the evening, it is when you're resting that your body is rejuvenated.
Okay.
When you're sleeping. So when you refuse to sleep at that time, then you're missing out the repair time on the body.
So what happens to daytime naps for those who take naps during the day? Maybe during their lunch break or whatever part of the time
it's
of the day.
It's a very good one. We call it the power nap. You find that even if it's 15-20 minutes you do in the afternoon, it rejuvenates your body. It restores your energy. When you wake up, you feel as if you've not worked all day. And that strength carries you the whole evening until your next sleep time.
Now, you mentioned that there are no telltale signs of high blood pressure, but there are some things that you might be going through that would give you an idea, a sign that you might be susceptible to, high BP. So, what are some of these, in quote, symptoms?
Constant headaches. Sometimes you just take Panadol, but it keeps coming back. Insomnia, that's sleeplessness. Some people will sleep early and wake up 1, 2, and they find it difficult to sleep again. So that's we call that the late insomnia. Sometimes you want to sleep early and the sleep is not coming. It's one of the signs. There will be heart problems. You climb a stair and then you're palpitating and all of that. It's part of the signs. There are kidney problems. Kidney problems. You may find it difficult to urinate. All right. There's difficulty in breathing. You climb the stairs and then you're not able to get in enough oxygen into the lungs. There will be noise in the airs. We call it tinnitus. So you just feel as if train is coming. It's passing through. It's noise in the airs. There may be cloudy sight.
So blurry sight.
Cloudy. It's not clear. There may be frequent hemorrhages in the nose and eyes. There are these tiny capillaries in the nose. So when the blood pressure is high, those capillaries will burst. So there may be bleeding. The same thing in the eyes, there may be bleeding. So those are part of the signs that you will see.
So if someone has been having constant headaches, what you're saying is it's important
to rule out malaria, rule out typhoid. The next thing you think about is high blood pressure.
Now that you've mentioned malaria and typhoid, right? When anyone has like a headache and it's constant, it doesn't go away, it's assumed that you have malaria, and people just go on to take medication without getting tested. Now, that's not the focus of what we're talking about today.
But it's better to go for lab tests straight away. Before any medication, go for the laboratory test Just simple, do simple malaria parasite and Widal. That's how we call it.
And
so you rule out malaria, you rule out typhoid. So after treating both, if they are there and the headache persists, then please check your blood pressure.
Okay, so check your blood pressure, see your doctor, and get the care that you need. All right, send your questions to us right now via the WhatsApp and text line 09097054450. Now, when anyone gets the blood pressure checked, and they get prescribed medications to help treat or manage the situation, is it possible to get better over time? Maybe due to a lifestyle change or for whatever reason?
It's possible. With your medication, if you adjust the lifestyle, you will help the blood pressure to go down, because all you need to do is encourage the opening up of the blood vessels. The heart is a pumping machine. Each of us have an average of 5-liter volume of blood flowing in the body. So the heart, being the pumping machine, its job is to pump this blood around the body, to and fro. So when the blood vessels are thinning out, the space is reducing due to deposition of cholesterol in the blood vessels, or due to the thickening of the blood vessel walls, which happens as we age. Then once that lumen, the space, is reduced, the heart needs to pump blood at a higher pressure. So what you need to do to keep it down is to do those things that will open up the blood vessels. Once the blood can flow freely, the pressure goes down. So how do you do that? Number one, reduce your salt intake. Diet is very important. For years, we will eat 10 naira rice and 500 naira meat. It's an irony.
That's a bad thing.
It's a bad thing. It takes a whole week for you to digest beef, generally.
Okay.
And because these days, the young people are doing so much sitting. We're living a sedentary life, working on the system, working on the phone. You're seated, and seated in a bad position.
You're slouching, not
a lot of times, not even sitting upright. So if you do that, please stand up from time to time to exercise so that you enhance blood circulation. So you need to do your exercise. Exercise is the number one cure for high blood pressure, but a lot of people don't know. When you have a brisk walk, 30 to 45 minutes, you increase blood circulation supply, especially to the brain. Because these days we're doing mental work, so we're wearing out both the brain and the body.
So let's go back a bit before you go on to some of the causes, right? Let's go back a bit. Now, for somebody who might be having trouble sleeping, but then they are big on exercising, they don't miss a day of exercising, does that make up in any way?
It does not. It does not.
For their shortcoming?
It does not. Everything has to be done in equal proportion. Just like you have to drink minimum of 3 liters of water per day to help digestion. Because every disease is caused when there's accumulation of toxins in the large intestine. So it's one tube from the mouth to the anus, one tube that can cause death or give life. So everything we want to do is to ensure that that long tube called the gastrointestinal tract is free.
Okay.
So once you don't accumulate toxins, then you're good.
Now, someone's asking a question about the normal blood pressure. Now, you mentioned that was 120?
120 over 80.
Over 80, right? Now, what is the elevated blood pressure?
It depends on the age and the gender. Now, so as we grow older, maybe you get into over 40, you can have 130 over 80. Some people begin to have 140 over 85. It's like borderline.
Is that normal, or that's over
for
the
age?
For the age,
it can be accepted if you are like 45, 50. Yes, 140, 85, 140, 90. But you still have to be careful, because that's becoming pre-hypertension.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at what stage do you get into the stage 1 and stage 2 hypertension?
Okay. If you consistently have maybe 140, 145, 150, over 90, you see that diastolic is more dangerous. Every difference of 2, 3, 4 in that lower one is dangerous.
Okay.
So that's how it has to be controlled. But you find out that once you're already getting to that age, that if you do these natural lifestyle adjustments, you will bring it down.
So exercising.
You exercise, you drink lots of water. Please stop drinking cold water. When you
Okay,
drink cold
now she's
water.
about to call everything out of our diet. So she says
No.
meat is okay.
Honestly, those who produce fridge don't drink cold water. Have
Really?
you ever seen a Chinese man drinking cold water with his food?
Well,
They would rather
tea.
take green tea.
Yes.
That aids digestion.
Uh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
That is digestion.
okay.
So please drink minimum of 3 liters of water a day, and your diet becomes important. There are many things that we've been brought up to eat that are hazardous to proper digestion. Make sure you do your exercise at least 3-4 times a week. If you cannot do every day, make sure you sleep well. You must also detoxify your body every 3 months, quarterly.
So how do you detox?
All right, some people do 1 day a week where they don't eat cooked food. You just do like what we call a fruit fast.
You're fasting. Okay.
Yeah, so a fruit fast, what you're doing then is you're allowing all your body organs to rest, and then you're aiding digestion. You're cleansing toxins.
How would you handle the hunger that comes with not eating?
Honestly, there are fruits that will fill you up. It's
Like?
all the mind. Number one is for you to have a mindset. At 60, will you be an asset or a liability? That's the main question.
Yeah.
Because without the proper goal, without the focus, you're not going to be committed to doing those things you should do every day. So we have to establish the fact that, okay, Fentola wants to be active. I want to remain active. I want to remain an asset. I want to be able to do things for myself in old age. So what picture can you see?
Yeah.
That picture is what will help you to go through this process that we're talking about. So that's where it starts from.
So exercising, watching what you
Exercising,
eat.
watching what you eat, sleep well, rest,
You mentioned something about salt, and I
and
want to
please
take
don't
us-
hold bitterness. I don't want to forget.
Don't hold bitterness. Like forgive
Emotional
people?
health.
So forgive people.
Forgive
man.
people.
Oh,
You don't
forgiveness.
need God to tell you.
And this is
You
mental
harm
health
your-
month as
yes,
well. So
yes. You
that's
harm your
important.
body when you hold people in unforgiveness.
By holding grudges.
Your body releases toxic chemicals that can kill.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned something about salt, and I want to take us back there
Yeah.
because over time our taste buds have gotten used to a certain taste.
Yeah.
Okay, and if it's not that taste that comes through from your food, you feel like the salt is
It's
not
not
enough.
enough.
So you either put like a table
Some
salt
people
in
even
it.
put uncooked salt. That's the dangerous
That's the
habit.
table salt. Yes, exactly. So
Yeah.
how do you take yourself back to that mental consciousness? You're being deliberate as to what you put in because this is something you've grown with over time and you're just used to it. It's
Yeah.
normal for you, right? And the fact that you are advising to cut this, cut that, if you don't eat 1 spoon of rice with at least 2 pieces of meat, you're not started eating yet. So how do you take yourself back to making these changes?
We're looking at it from, don't wait until the doctor is forcing you. Because when the high blood pressure is already there, in the hospital, they will simply tell you, don't eat salt. So now we're looking at it from the preventive. So if you reduce now, you will not have to get to that stage of where you're not being told, don't eat.
Okay.
All right? Now, sodium retains water in the system. Salt is sodium chloride.
Yeah.
So that's why you have to reduce or remove. Most of the seasonings we use are highly salted. If you're going to London, people in UK will tell you to buy Nigerian Knorr for them. It's saltier.
Nigeria seasoning.
Yes,
for them.
the
Okay.
seasonings are saltier. So we have to be intentional about what you do. So reduce your salt intake to reduce your capacity to retain water in the system.
Now let's review a bit of the risk factors. Now you mentioned blacks are more susceptible to getting
more prone to it,
to getting high blood pressure.
Yeah.
You mentioned age, but even though these days you see a lot of young people
Having it,
who are-
lifestyle induced.
Yes, lifestyle induced. So let's get into a bit of obesity, weight, and other things that could be causing this.
Yeah. For high blood pressure, you have majorly the psychological cause, which can be anxiety, worries, and all of that. And then you have the physical cause. So the main the first thing that baffled me when we were doing anatomy in the nursing school is that for every disease that were being treated, obesity is like the number one cause.
Of that.
So there's something we call the BMI, your basic metabolic index.
Okay.
Everybody must do that regularly. So your gender comes in, your age comes in, your height comes in to tell you what should be your recommended weight.
Body weight. So
Body weight.
how do you? So when you do this BMI,
When you do your BMI should be between 21 and 24.9.
Okay.
So once it goes above 25, you're becoming pre-obese.
Oh.
So when it goes like 28, 30 and above, then you're diagnosed to be obese.
So is it possible that you might look healthy, but then your BMI says you're not healthy?
Yeah. So everybody must know. You must know what, like me, my ideal weight should not be more than 75 because I'm 5'8".
Okay.
Good. So because I know, so if I get on the scale and I see 78, I see 80, I know I need to lose 5 kg.
So what should be my ideal height for somebody who is, my ideal weight for somebody who's 6 feet?
It has to be done in the hospital or pharmacy. They will do the BMI for you.
Okay.
Or if you go on Google, you should be able to also do
calculate it and
you calculate. So you know your height, and then you know your age and all of that. If you can fill in those figures, you get your BMI.
All right.
So that will serve as a very good way for each of us to control.
All right, so we've covered that weight as well, exercise, family history,
detoxification
age,
is very important.
race. Black people are more prone to getting it. So let's talk about tobacco use of vaping, because it's it's an in thing right now for young people to vape a lot. So vape is like a little instrument people just think they're having fun with. But then again, I mean,
they're introducing these dangerous toxins into the system, and you see the lungs. The lungs are important. The lungs, we take in air, we take in oxygen into the lungs. So the oxygen should be supplied into the blood to be carried around the body. So when the oxygen is polluted by smoke, then there's trouble. The food of the brain is oxygen. It is carried by the hemoglobin content of the blood. So when the oxygen is depleted, then there is trouble. We don't have adequate food for the brain, so there's trouble. Okay. And then when you don't breathe well, there's trouble. It's as simple as that. So when you choose to smoke, it's a choice. What you should sit down to do, I don't tell people not to smoke. I will offer them therapy, and they will pay me.
Because most times the issue with that is being able to cut it out, right? Being able to stop. And of course, you don't stop in one day. You have to make deliberate efforts over time, cut it down, and eventually
so there are therapies for it. There are therapies. Some people might have gotten addicted to it. In the psychiatric hospital, we have therapies. If you're drunk, if you like to drink, there are things to do.
Well, in Nigeria, therapy is not something that we are readily accepting. I mean, only if right now it's becoming a big thing. But it's still a struggle for people to accept therapy in its entirety.
But we need to seek it. And now we have professionals for that. We have mental health coaches. I'm a certified emotional health coach.
But are there enough to cover the number of people?
We have bodies. I belong to platforms where you have professionals, so we make a lot of referrals. I choose not to focus on that major. I love to work on the total person. Yeah. But we have a lot of mental health coaches. I belong to platforms where you find people. Do you know we have young people now who are having lots of problems under 10, having all those issues. So there are therapies.
So would you say that what's important right now is to create more awareness? Because there are people who need help, but they're not certain how to get started, and also the worry might be maybe
stigma.
The stigma on the side, but then the cost implication as well. They're not certain they'll be able to afford it if they were to get started with it. So that could be a worry.
Do you know we have some free platforms where you can seek help? Yeah, you can get discounts if the therapy session is going to be maybe more than 5 because they usually charge per hour.
Okay.
Good. So you can it can be at your pace. It's not one day. It's not that you have to pay 1 million at a time. So it's spread out. It's spread out because you are also involved in your own treatment. So it's spread out. So it can be worked on.
So before move on to other things, let's talk about the low potassium levels as cost factor, risk factor to getting hypertensive.
Where can we get them? Where can we get potassium? That's where supplementation comes in.
Okay.
Now, most of the things we're eating in Nigeria today, they've added so much fertilizers to the farm. So we're no more getting organic food or fruits and vegetables like it should be. So you get to the market, you're finding 3-4 types of pineapple. So you're wondering which one should I buy? You're getting cucumbers that are so big, you're wondering how come. in a few months. So those are the things. So because the soil is depleted, we're not getting well nourished organic supplies anymore. So because, and then secondly, in Nigeria we overcook our food.
Wait.
If we are not using the yellow fire, we don't believe we are cooking.
But the blue one is the one that's
recommended. The blue one is the recommended, so that so it will be slow cooked, so you can get the best of the nutrients from what you're eating. Because of that, there has to be supplementation. So these supplements are organic to make available to the body what we are missing in the food that we're eating. Our environment is also polluted. So even the air we're breathing in is no more as clean as it used to be. In every building now you find generators. There are diesel generators, there are fuel generators, and we are inhaling lots of carbon monoxide instead of oxygen. And so much waste from the industrial areas and all of that, pollution from the car exhaust. Those are the things we inhale every day. So there is a need for supplementation.
So how can we, in a bid to help the environment and help ourselves, be more deliberate in these things you've mentioned? So I mean, the power situation, in the city has improved over time. So a lot of generators don't get turned on except maybe during the day for those who have businesses and need to, run it. But how can we be more deliberate? Even while we're using these things, we are making the effort towards finding a balance.
Okay, you put the generator far away from the house so that even the noise will not disturb your sleep. Okay. And then the exhaust, you put it in a position where the exhaust goes out, not return. And then for over 10 years, I have changed to the solar system. Oh, okay. So I use solar panels on my roof. I have my batteries and my inverter. So I don't even use generator at all. So it can be a gradual process. You can start to build it up so that you're sure that at least where you spend the most of your time, there's greenery, there's cleanliness.
Well, let's take a breather right now. When we come back, we'll get right into asking you further questions and, of course, wrapping up the conversation as to, how people can cut down on getting hypertensive. You can ask questions. You've got time for more questions. 09097054450. That is the WhatsApp and the text line. We're at 11:48 a.m. right here on your radio experience. You can count on talking about hypertension on mind and body today. Now, high blood pressure is most common in adults, but kids and younger people can have high blood pressure too. Now, this could be due to the kidneys or heart issues in children. But for a growing number of kids, high blood pressure is due to lifestyle habits such as unhealthy diet and lack of exercise. Now, the excessive pressure on the artery walls caused by high blood pressure can damage blood vessels and body organs. The higher the blood pressure, the longer it gets, it goes uncontrolled, and the greater the damage. Now let's get into a bit of complications right now. What are things that people could suffer when they don't check their high blood pressure, or they ignore it hoping that it goes away, maybe because they don't understand it or because they just feel like it's nothing to be worried about?
Great question. Anybody that has high blood pressure will most likely have diabetes. They move together like brother and sister. And so with kidney issues going there are complications, and then stroke, because then it's affecting the nerves, and that's where there's a lot of danger there. The nervous cells naturally does not heal itself. If you cut a part of your body, once you can bring the two skin surfaces together, there will be healing. The nerves does not heal.
Don't work that way.
They don't work that way. So that's why it's difficult. Once people have stroke, it's very difficult to redeem them back to getting those nerves to work, and then heart failure.
Now let's get into heart attack real quick. Okay, if you were to notice, what are telltale signs that somebody is going through a heart attack, and what can anybody who's there with them do in the immediate to maybe help to handle the situation pending when a doctor comes through, or they can be taken to a hospital?
Unless the person is trained, unless the person is trained in that, the person may not really be able to help, because the most important thing is to get blood back into the brain. So we may have to raise the feet up, remove the pillow from under the head, get that person in a, so that blood flow can come back from the feet. And if you can do CPR, that's why I said the
That's
person
something, yes. So CPR
usually
is something
has to
that's
be
trained in
trained
it. Okay.
in it. It's not everybody that can do, because that's like how do you explain it? Trying to get oxygen.
But knowing CPR is a skill that is vital. It's a skill
It is.
everybody should have.
It is, but not everybody has it.
So are you saying it's good that we do it? We learn it?
It's good that we learn it
Okay.
if we have the opportunity, because we may be able to help somebody around us. Losing anything that is tight on the person's body.
Okay.
Maybe there's a belt, there's a tie, and all those things. Even buttons on the wrist. Losing all those things to encourage blood supply. So ensure that there's blood coming into the brain. The brain is the part that needs the blood most.
All right. So heart attack or stroke are complications, heart failure, kidney problems.
When the blood pressure is not well managed.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's why I'm saying, apart from taking medication, we must be intentional about adjusting our lifestyle. It takes a lot of discipline, but knowledge comes first.
Okay.
So please seek knowledge. Yeah.
All right. So the other complications that could arise: so dementia, metabolic syndrome, eye problems as well.
Yeah.
So wait, hold on a second. For eye problems, does this mean that a lot of people who are wearing, who need aid in terms of improving their vision could have
Diabetes is even
hypertension?
more serious for eye problems than hypertension. When the sugar in the blood is not controlled, there will be deposition of blood on the retina. Now, when the eyes receive something outside, a message is sent to the retina. That's like the sight field. So when there's a deposition of blood, then it becomes blood. So the sense of judgment will be impaired. You can't even see clearly. So most blindness today is caused by diabetes, followed with high blood pressure.
So
and there's also a fluid in the eyes called the ocular fluid. It can also, the pressure there can also be affected, causing glaucoma. That's glaucoma. So a lot of things are happening.
Right. So in wrapping up this conversation, I mean, what we want is to have things improved, right? In terms of cutting down the number of young people and even old people who get hypertensive, who have high blood pressure. It's not a fancy thing you want to go through. So what you're recommending, I will have you, give your recommendations as well as your final words.
Okay, thank you. The WHO said about a few years ago that 3 out of every 4 deaths are caused by preventable deaths. And that was something I held on to. It means we can help 75% of the population in preventing rather than just waiting for it to have happened, and then we're now doing the fire brigade approach. So there has to be a change of mindset, how we think about your body. You're a tripartite being, you're a spirit being, you have a soul, the mind, and then you have a body. No matter how strong your spirit is, no matter how strong your mental health is, if the body is weak, there's nothing you can do in accomplishing the goal. So can we now begin to also focus on the body, not just on the external part, but the internal part? You need to understand how your body operates. In biology, we're all taught the body is made up of systems. There's the circulatory, the digestive, all those things, one affects each other. So we have to ensure a proper balance. Look at your job, look at your business. Are they allowing you to live a healthy life? Identify your stressors. Men are at higher risk, more than 10% higher risk than women. And it's because the stress they are coping with is higher. Where are you living? Where is your place of work or business? Everything. Where are the children's school? You must do what I call a life by design. You need to go back to the drawing board and put up your life the way you want it to be, the way it is presently. What are those things you begin to adjust? So what time do you leave the house? What time do you come back? All of those things work. There's a book by Darren Hardy called The Compounding Effect. What's your choice? Your choice should determine your daily habits. So we have to start the review from that. We have to get proper knowledge and information so that we will know what we need to do, bearing in mind where we're going. So adjustments will include ensure that your mind is at peace, defend your peace, drink water, not cold water, manage stress, detoxify regularly, supplement your diet by taking organic supplements, do your physical exercises. I mean, then diet is the most important. You know, Yorubas, Yoruba will say, "Atenujen payan." It is what you eat through the mouth that kills. So it's important that we sit down and be intentional. Don't just say things are expensive. What can you do at your own level? Thank you very much for this.
Thank you so much for your final thoughts right there, and that's a good place to leave the conversation. Today, we'll be talking to Feyintola Onagorua. She's a sales expert, a wellness entrepreneur, a continental network marketing coach, and she's gone on to give insight as to how we can find a balance and, of course, live better in terms of preventing hypertension. And even if you are hypertensive right now, lifestyle changes that you can go through to ensure that you are living a better life. This is the much I can take right now on Mind on Body. And so you stay tuned to your radio experience. You can count on.